these are difficult days in Israel, and I'm sure it's a difficult time for any human being in the world who cares about people. And we as a school that cares about humans and human rights and about shared living are going through challenging times. And the brave young people who chose to stay at GHIS and chose to come back here, and the graduates of their school, we have 2 of them with us who are still connecting to the school and still telling us that our job is to carry on the vision of the school. That's what takes me out of bed every morning. Because if I would only look at the news like we do all the time, I could choose if I want to be sad, depressed, or angry. But when I wake up in the morning and I see these young people, I know, and I want you hopefully to be with me to know that there is hope, because our job is to connect the Jews and Arabs in Israel and to connect them to some international friends and make sure that no matter who the external people are, and whether it's a terror organization or some other bad things that are happening around the world, these young people are committed every day, all the time, to make the world a better place. And someone just told us earlier this week, our generation, we failed, but your generation, Hussein, Noga, Salma, Noam, it's in your hands to make sure that your generation brings a different message to the world. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Moshe Fegi, Lauren, Barbara, and Rob for making this event happen. And I promise every one of you that took the hour this morning that when you will hear the students, and Hannah and Yuval, of course, you will not regret waking up and having a little bit of hope. And hopefully you will stay with us, stay in touch with us way after the call. So Yuval, on to you. And I will be the timekeeper. So I might at some stage tell you that your time is up. And whoever wants to ask questions later will have to unmute. We're keeping everybody on mute.
Shalom, everyone. It's a privilege to be here, and thanks for joining. I want to thank everyone for thinking about GHIS and for listening to us today. With us, as Nurit just said, are several students. We have Noga, Hussein, Noam, Salma. Maybe Resida will also join. And we have Hannah, my colleague. So I would like at this time to present the students and graduates, and I would like to ask them to present themselves, who you are, where are you from, and how did you end up at GHIS. We'll start with Noga, then Hussein, then Salma, then Noam.
My name is Noga and I am 19, and it's really nice to meet all of you. And I'm seeing also some faces that I haven't seen in a while, so it's nice to see you guys too. So I'm from Israel. I'm from Givat Ada, which is where I am now, and I graduated in 2022, so 1 year ago. And since then, I went for a gap year in the Jewish Agency, and I was in France, in the south of France, in Nice, for a year. I worked with the Jewish community there. I just came back in August, and I'm waiting for my army service. And until then, I'm working in a coffee shop.
Okay, Hussein.
Okay, so I'm Hussein. I'm a graduate from Noga's cohort also. We graduated about 2 years ago now. No, a year and a half actually. Time flies so fast. I'm Israeli. I'm Arab from the Arab community in Israel, and the way I came to GHIS is a bit unique, to say the least. I was looking for a unique experience in Israel, to study with Jewish students, since it's not very widespread for an Arab student to study in a Jewish school, or an international school even, since they are even rarer. So I found GHIS, and I'm very glad that I did. And currently, I'm in Switzerland, in Lausanne, studying at the EPFL. I'm doing electrical engineering.
Thanks, Hussein, and good luck. It's not an easy track. Salma, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here. Yeah, my name is Salma. I'm a DP1 student, so an 11th grader or a junior in high school. And I'm also from the Arab community here in Israel, and I'm from a city called Taibeh. And I've lived in the US for 7 years. That's where the accent's from. I basically found out about the school from a part-time teacher at my old middle school. She was, or she still is, the house parent here. Her name is Gigi. And she was telling me about this school. It's an IB school, and it's really interesting. And she thought that it would fit my personality. And I was so excited to apply. And then when I was accepted, I was really excited to come here and excited for the experience, really. Thank you.
Thanks, Salma. Noam?
Hello, everyone. Really nice to see you guys and to be here. My name is Noam. I'm 16 and a half, 11th grade as well, in the same age as Salma. I live in Israel for my whole life. I live in a kibbutz, a small kibbutz, very close to the school, 10 minutes away. And yeah, I'm really lucky to be at this school and to meet those people. And yeah.
Thanks, Noam. Is Resida with us?
My name is Resida Sarno. I am from Liberia, West Africa. GHIS, I got to know GHIS through a national coordinator. His name is Same Cole. They pick students from the high schools who go through an exam, and then we get nominated to apply to GHIS. So far, it has been a real life transforming experience for me, because it's actually my first time traveling and being with people from different cultures, as I think everyone else has said that. And it was like really a great experience for me.
I want to ask Hannah to introduce herself.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Hannah. I am the IB/DP coordinator, which is just a super fancy way of saying academic director or curriculum coordinator here at GHIS. I also had the honor of teaching Noga and Hussein together, and I currently teach Resida and Salma. I don't teach Noam, but we hang out sometimes, so it's all cool. I was born and raised in the DC metro area. I went to Elon University in North Carolina for both my bachelor's and my master's degrees. And essentially, the moment I finished my bachelor's degree, I came to Israel on a Masa program. I lived and worked in a city called Rehovot, which is about 20 minutes south of Tel Aviv. And about halfway through that experience, I realized I really love Israel and I really love teaching, but I don't love the national curriculum so much. And so I started looking for other opportunities and eventually found GHIS. Went home from that program, and within 2 months had come back with 3 suitcases, was in the Giva, and I never left.
Thanks, Hannah. Okay, so here's my first question to you, students, graduates, and Hannah. In the past several weeks, I think it's okay to say, or it's based on evidence to say, that there is an increased polarization between Jews and Arabs in the country. And it is part of how population here in Israel perceives the war, the origins, and what comes next. And I want to ask you on your perspective towards this, and if your presence at school and your experience have made you think differently or approach this issue differently? And please feel free to just share your opinions.
I can start.
Please do.
At least for me, it's very shocking, the situation. It's very tough, it's very stressful. And I was at home when it happened. We were all at home. We were on Sukkot vacation, which is a holiday, a Jewish holiday. And yeah, I was really in shock. I focused mainly on the, let's say, the Jewish Israeli side of the story, the Israeli side. But when I came to school, which was not an easy choice, I got to talk with my friends, my Arab friends. And we didn't necessarily talk about politics, but like one of my friends said to me, in this case, I can't choose sides. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I think. And that made me look at the situation like, wait, whoa. I started to imagine how conflicted the Arab Israelis in Israel are right now. Because on one hand, they are in Israel, they live here, they're sad about the situation, but on the other hand, in Gaza, also people are dying, and it made me also look about the other side with all the difficulty there is. So it was really eye-opening for me every time, again and again. And yeah, it made me look at a broader picture.
Thanks, Noam. Who else wants to check in
I
on
can
that?
share my thoughts also.
Please.
So I've been in Switzerland for the past 2 months, so I wasn't in the country when this happened. But I can still say that it's still very stressful for me sometimes here. I recently deleted Instagram and all my social medias because I felt that it's very toxic, and I've only been getting my information from news sources, BBC, Israeli news channels. It's very hard. I mean, the situation in Israel and in the area is very worrying. Speaking about what's happening about what's been happening in the past 3 weeks, me personally, I decided not to take sides. I mean, I saw everybody taking sides on social media, either going like being is, as Yuval said, being very polarized, choosing one side over the other. But me, I think, and as a GHIS graduate, I prefer not to take sides. I think it became a bit cliche to say, but I'm with the human side. So a side that condemns any civilians, any innocent people getting harmed. We lived through the experience of the war in 2021 in GHIS, but I feel like this one is like no other conflict that I at least have lived through. And even though I'm not in the country, it's very tough. I'm trying to follow what's happening. I'm trying to keep in touch with my friends here in Israel, with my parents. I think it's a different kind of stress when you're just following everything from afar. But with my experience in GHIS surely has helped me kind of have or have the right mindset about what's happening, and always having always keeping hope. That's the main thing. Always having hope, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And yeah, I mean, I'll leave the stage for somebody else.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
I can go next.
Please do.
So I also was very stressed and frustrated. And I also deleted all social media apps, and I also tried not to look at the news. and not look at the pictures or videos because it wasn't making me feel any better. And it was only adding on to the pile of frustration that I was already feeling. And it kind of made me lose hope. The situation made me lose hope for a better future, for a peace. And that I still kind of feel a loss of hope, but it has gotten so much better since we came back here. Because to be able to see like my Arab friends and my Israeli friends and my international friends all together, and we're all the same people, and it's kind of beautiful how simple it is. Like we're all teenagers, you know, we have the same hobbies and the same fears and the same struggles, and we're all humans. Kind of like what Hussein said, I stand with humanity, and I think it's something so beautiful. And I really got connected with it again when we came back here. And I think that's what made me gain a bit more hope that we can have a better future. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Salma. I'm wondering, or I see Noga, you want to respond?
If very shortly, yes.
Please do.
I relate a little bit to every single thing that you guys said, Salma and Hussein and Noam. And Noam, I know how you felt coming back to GHIS and feeling like not knowing how to feel coming back, because Hussein and I felt the same thing coming back in May 2021, where there was also another war, and of course not like this one, but I felt like a sense of insecurity or not knowing how to deal with coming back and seeing my friends that I had known for a whole year, but who were hurt just like I am and grieving just like I am, but just maybe for also the same people and also different people. You know, everybody knows different people that they're grieving for, and exactly with that point, I want to come to this this catastrophe that has happened in the last few weeks, because I feel like from May 2021 to October 2023, we've grown a little bit more, Hussein and I, and we still feel worried for the people that we know, and we still grieve for people that we know. That everybody grieves. And that's the sad part, but there's unity in that the people that we lose, and I know some people who aren't here anymore, but I also know that everybody knows people who aren't here anymore, no matter if you're Jewish or Arab or whatever. And it's sad, and we deal with that grief, but we sort of know that we can deal with it together. That makes sense. Doesn't make it easier, but you carry it together.
Thanks, Noga. And I want to thank you for being honest, all of you, and for sharing these thoughts. And, you know, at these times, whenever I open a newspaper channel, an online newspaper, or I see relatively very little TV, I think that the main thing that I receive is more connected to stereotypes than anything else. The discourse is quite flattened, and there's nothing, no nuances, and there's nothing that goes deeper. And I wonder, how do you feel about stereotypes of the other before you came here to GHIS, and now that you know the people? Did it make you change your mind, or did it make you understand things differently?
Yuval, can I start on this one?
Please do.
I think this is one of the biggest kind of reflection points in my journey since my Aliyah. So I grew up in a very Jewish area, not just a Jewish area, but I had Jewish friends. I went to Hebrew school, Jewish youth group, Jewish summer camp. You know, I was part of the conservative movement. I did, you know, the Jewish thing. And so my Aliyah is very different than the typical aliyah that people make when they're 22, 23 years old. I didn't move to Tel Aviv or Netanya or Beersheba and go partying and clubbing and that sort of thing. I came to work, and I came to a school of people who were coming from all different places together. And I was the youngest. I was 22 years old when I came to work here. And the first real friend my age that I made, her name is Hiba. And she's only a couple years older than me, and she's from the village Arara, which is 10 minutes down the road. And Hiba and I couldn't be any more different from each other. But somehow we just connected on an internal level. And that friendship has opened me to an entire different side of Israel and Israeli society and communities here that I was never exposed to as a young Jewish person living in the United States or participating in all the youth group movements. And I spend just as much time in the villages, the Arab villages and cities, as I do in the Jewish villages and cities. And I spend time in the West Bank in areas that are Palestinian because I have the privilege of doing that with an American passport. And I spend time in, Tel Aviv and Haifa and things like that. And to see, a lot of my network of friends and acquaintances still are in the United States. And to see people choosing sides and portraying this as a black and white sort of issue is one of the biggest challenges. But the question is, how do you reach out to people who are not engaged, who don't actually have that personal connection on the ground? And several people have reached out to me over the past few weeks, maybe that I was close to, maybe that I wasn't. And they say, how can we help? How can we help? And, at the end of the day, on the ground, there's not much as individuals we can do. And one of the things that I keep reminding people is, remember that everybody is suffering. Everybody is mourning together. And, it doesn't come from one side or the other. We're all being touched and we're all in pain. And the only way for us to move forward to a better future is for us to grow through that pain together and to use it as the roots of our path forward into, a more sustainable and peaceful future.
Thanks, Anna. And Rashida?
I have never been in a situation like this before. And I also did not really know about the Jewish and Arab conflict until I got to Israel. So I didn't know about the wars. I didn't know about the 2021 thing. I didn't know nothing about it. So my country had wars, wars for 14 years before, but that was way before I was born. So I don't know anything about the wars. But luckily for me, when I heard the sirens, because we have done drills before, I knew where to go. But at that point in time, I was so confused. I didn't even know how I got to the bomb shelter. And a lot of thoughts ran through my mind, and I couldn't stop thinking about how the situation was going to change in Israel, how the situation was going to change in our school. I knew that the country was now going to be very, very much intense, even if this was going to go for a few days, even if this was going to go for a week, I don't know. But I knew that the situation was going to get very much intense for Arabs living in Israel and Jews living in Israel. So it was just something that kept playing on my mind, and I was like, how's it going to be like after this and we get back to school? What I saw when I came back home, because I came back home before most of our students went back, I got a call from my roommates. I actually have Jewish and Arab roommates. I got a call from both of them, and we all started having this conversation about what is happening. And that just gave me hope, as Selma said, because these are two people. I know this is not the entire country. This is not Gaza. This is not like Israel, but these are two people from both sides that are just worried and scared that this is happening and we don't know how long it's going to take. We're just worrying about graduation, and we really want to have prom, and then we really want to have fun together. And oh my God, we see that you're not going to be here for the Halloween party. These are people that are all scared and just trying to express their fear to each other. So it's not about sides, it's about this is happening to everyone. Everyone have lost so much. Everyone is so scared, and we're just trying to depend on each other as a community, as an international community, as a community that supports peace. We're just trying to depend on each other to stay calm and stay hopeful and yet it's just a beautiful thing to see. So it was beautiful to me.
Thanks for
that conversation.
Maybe this stage I'd like to share that when the war began, the first thing that happened is that the schooling system closed down. So for the first 2 weeks of the war, we are now at the 4th week of the war, schools didn't work, or almost all schools didn't work. But we made a decision to transition into online teaching and learning quite immediately. So on Monday, the 9th, we already worked online. And throughout the first 2 weeks, we learned more about the event, and we decided to encourage most of our international students to travel back home for their own safety and security. We couldn't bring the local students back to campus yet. We didn't have confirmation from the Ministry of Education. Only last week, which was the 3rd week of the war, we could bring in small groups of students, and only last night we could bring all of the local students and the international students that are in the country. Something like about between 80 to 90 students are on campus now. This is a very radical time in Israel, and it might be here for some time. Why is it important at all to have shared society education now? Why is it important to have GHIS now, in your opinion?
I feel like I have never felt in my lifetime this tear between the Jews and Arabs in Israel. I feel like something happened that it's like really, really gonna change the dynamics in Israel. But we're the future. And if we don't get up now and make connections and know that it is possible, if we don't do it now, I feel like we could never come back to a real society that lives together in a shared society. And we're the future. So if we believe that, and if we do that in the school like we do now, I hope and I believe that we can change the future.
Thanks, Noam.
Can I answer shortly?
Please do.
Adding up to what Noam said, as I said before, when I saw the connection between when I was a part of the discussion between my Jewish and Arab roommate, what came to my mind was like, this is where hope is. This is where, if anything is going to change, a shared society is where it's going to start. And I feel like that is the significance of having it right now, hearing from both sides and not just being in the circle and in your individual spaces, just hearing from one side. A shared society, having a shared circle, discussing together, this is where the change starts. And I feel like it's really important.
Thanks, Rosita.
Can also share maybe a sentence or two. For me personally, I mean, GHIS the importance of GHIS was reflected through my story. Since I mean you guys, Miss Hannah, Noga, Yuval, and Nareed, I mean, you all encouraged me to dedicate my journey for the greater good of the people. GHIS, at this moment right now, GHIS is more needed than ever. I got to experience unique experiences to break, actually, I would call it to break the norm of being a passive Arab citizen in Israel to an active member in the community, and to dedicate my journey for change in the region, which it's very ironic to say, but I'm still very motivated and I'm still on that journey up even in these tough times right now.
And
Thanks.
maybe one last thing that it reminds, sorry, I'm really sorry. Also one thing that you reminded me about, that Miss Carey, our global politics teacher, always said. We were learning about how to create peace, and ways of peacekeeping and peacemaking. She always said that you can either make peace from the top down or from the bottom up. I think that in Israel's history, we saw a little bit of trying to make it from the top down, but it must happen, I think, from the bottom up, and that's why we're here.
Thanks. Anyone else wants to comment on that?
Or questions?
Really, just
So-
really quickly, I'm so sorry. Uh, I just want to say hope. I think that's why GHIS is important now, because I feel like a lot of people are losing hope, and this is what restored my hope, and I think that it's the same for a lot of my peers. Yeah, that's it.
Anna, would you like to close the discussion? And thank you, Salma.
Sure. I always like to let the kids talk instead of me. But no, I think one of the most important things about being here is that we live and we grow together. And there's no way to build a future together if we don't know each other. So the more time we spend living and growing and learning and fighting over laundry machines and going to the gym and everything else, the easier it's going to be to do the actual hard work when we get those little things out of the way.